You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by the National Association of Convenience Stores.
Welcome to Convenience Matters. We are here to talk about things that matter to convenience stores, and if they matter to convenience stores, they probably matter to just about everybody else. We get about 160 million consumers at convenience stores every day, and today we're going to talk about the 25,000 who come to something called the NACS Show. My name is Jeff Leonard. I'm with the National Association of Convenience Stores.
And I'm John Eichberger with the Fuels Institute at NACS. And Jeff, you're right. We always talk about things that fuel you, fuel your body, fuel your car, keep it going. Convenience stores are right there for you every single day. And you're right, the NACS Show is a huge gathering of the leaders of the industry from countries across the world. Convenience, fuel retailers all come together. All the suppliers come together in one location to figure out how we make this industry better.
Well, John, I think this is our 23rd annual NACS Show. And by the official definition of we've had meetings longer than that, back to 1961 annual meetings, but not with expos, not every year, and not called the NACS Show. So this is the 23rd NACS Show annual event, but on the microphones, we have 50 years of NACS experience between the four of us.
I'm feeling old, Jeff. You're making
between
me
the
feel
four
old,
of us,
man.
we can divide it up a little here because it's not just you and me, John. We have Carolyn Schneer from NACS. We have Donovan Woods from the Fuels Institute, who's going to be there. He can talk about his NACS experience, his Fuels Institute experience. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So 50 years of experience in the room. What do we need to talk about?
Why we're still here. I think as I mentioned in the intro, it's the biggest gathering of anybody in the industry. And I know my first NACS show, and even sometimes now, you show up, you look around, you're completely overwhelmed. You walk in, there's 70 different education sessions. There's 25 acres of exhibits. Where do you start? What do you do? And how are you supposed to navigate all that? So even veterans who have been to the show numerous times sometimes show up and just a little overwhelmed at what's supposed to do first.
Yeah, and the good news is this is a lot different than other shows I've gone to where it really is, what do I do now? And there's a long registration line. There's all these other things that you got to figure out. That's all figured out in advance. So we have no problem with that. You hit the ground running, and we're going to have 25,000 of our closest friends there at the show. I'll just give a quick example of one of my early experiences at the NACS Show, and that was after, unfortunately, it was after September 11th. We had a show a month later, and just all the complications of arranging airfares and feeling good about flying a month and a half after September 11th. And we put something like 23,000 people in Las Vegas. And one of the greatest memories there was you were in the taxi with somebody, and the first thing he said is, "Thank you." I said, "For what?" And he said, "That you had a convention." And that tells you not just how important the convention is to our industry, but really wherever we take it. You hear that the three cities we take it to, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Chicago, this year is Atlanta, by the way, they really get value from it as well because we're bringing such bringing a pretty exciting show on the road.
And so from a scheduling perspective, we start with ed sessions. And Carolyn, you spent years planning, managing the educational programs. I think you said the other day that you actually kind of orchestrated 700 different educational programs.
Yep.
So if somebody comes to you and says, all right, so I'm showing up, the show floor doesn't open until the next day or the day after that. What should I be looking for? What's the value coming in before the show floor even opens?
Well, as you mentioned, there's a number of education sessions on the first day, and you definitely need to plan ahead. I mean, these sessions have sometimes as many as 600 people in them. And
now, 600 people, that's the size of like 3 or 4 conferences I've attended this year.
Yeah.
And that's been one education session.
Yeah, they're huge. They're great. They're well attended. They're standing room only. And you want to get as close to the front as possible, so you need to get there early. Start planning. Take a look at the website. Take a look at the program if it's there, the mobile app. We have a mobile app you can download. But you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Don't just show up and wander around. You will not get a seat. You will end up watching the door close in front of you, and it will not be a great moment for you. So just get in there, figure out what you're doing, and just really listen and learn. One idea can change your business. It might not all apply to you, but if you sit there and just pay attention, one single idea you can bring back can make you thousands of dollars.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is you show up before the show floor opens, the day or so before, for the education sessions, but also the networking. I mean, Jeff, you mentioned 25,000 people at the NACS Show. One of the things that draws people there is, the trade show, the educational sessions, but also the people we're seeing and getting to reconnect with people we've known for years, get to know new people, and learn from each other. That's a big deal, something that people really need to be thinking about when they show up.
I mean, Jeff, you mentioned this is going to be my 12th year. This is your 14th, 15th year at the NACS Show. And you see generations now. When I was first there, I met, the dad that ran the convenience store. Now I'm meeting the older son who's now in charge of this, that, or the other thing. And it's really cool to just see these generations of the family business just diving right in.
Yeah, and that raises a good point, because one of the things that we talk about is the networking opportunities. And I think there's different ways of thinking about networking. For a lot of us on staff, we're running from this event to that event, and you're busy, but you never want to look too busy because, of course, these are our customers. But there are ways to have really fun conversations. Just walking down the hall with somebody, it's like, where are you going? And it's like, you're absolutely right, Carolyn. When you see like the different generations, it's wow, this really is a big deal, and it's great to meet families because it is a family business.
I remember when I first started, I was talking to one of our longtime members, and he said, Sean, I have a hard time getting on the show floor because I go 3 aisles. It takes me 6 hours because I'm running into everybody. Every step, there's somebody else I knew, hadn't seen them, I need to catch up. So I never get a chance to walk the show floor. And, Donovan, you spent years of your career helping build trade show floors. I'll be honest, I have no idea how to manage a show floor. I'm not a retailer. I'm not a vendor. I walk around and I'm basically looking for people I know. But in terms of navigating the show floor and getting the most out of it, I have no clue how to do that.
I'll give you a little background as to how difficult it can be and also how easy it can be. The first thing I'd say is I've worked on probably 6 different other shows, and nothing is as competitive to get on the show floor as the NACS Show. We have had a wait list the last 5 years of people just trying to get their products on the show floor. So it's difficult not only for you as a retailer coming in just to make sure you see everything, it's even hard for suppliers to get into the show. But the good thing about NACS is they give you all types of tools to help you. This year's mobile app actually has a route planner. So you put down exactly where you want to go, you schedule it throughout the day. It will actually map out the quickest, easiest way for you to walk to each booth and hopefully get to your destination by the time the show floor closes. But again, you're talking about 1,100 exhibitors, and you're going to run into people you're going to stop and talk, and time will pass by.
Is the app anything like Uber? So when you put in your destination in Uber, it'll tell you how long and how much it's going to cost, but then it says, but if you take a side stop, it's going to take longer. Do you have that application?
It is. It's called Surge Walking. You will be walking a long time and a lot more pain to your feet, but that's why you're there.
What about autonomous walking? Is that possible yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Share walking? Do they do that?
No. No.
Piggybacks are for hire.
Yes.
Segways.
We've seen that.
We need segways.
So let's seg into another topic. Oh. Yes. Wear comfortable shoes, put it that way. But outside of the NACS Show Expo, there's also a shortcut that a lot of retailers can do if they have a little bit of time. It opens even before the Expo, and we have this cool new products area where you can go through and quickly see a couple hundred. Last year it was more than 300 different products on display right there in the main area, and it's a quick way to get some ideas. You scan there, and basically that can also be your blueprint for what you want to see on the show floor. So it's another way to do your equivalent of Uber.
Absolutely. And actually in Atlanta, that's actually the largest footprint we have for the Cool New Products area. And I talked to Nicole Waldy, who manages that, and we're already over 400 products for this year. So when you walk through that, you'll have a scanner. You can scan each product you want. When you walk out, it will tell you where that booth is. You'll have a contact name, and they will also have your information just in case while you're walking through the show floor you don't get there.
So for attendees, just to clarify, if there's a product in the Cool New Products booth, that vendor is on the show floor.
Yes.
Okay.
If you are an exhibitor, your product has to be on the show floor. You have to be either in the new exhibits area, which is brand new to NACS as of last year, or it's on the main floor.
All right.
So staying on the expo. Okay. You've done it for a couple of years. And I'm sure there's stories you'd like to tell but shouldn't tell. And then there's stories that maybe you can tell, whether it's related to just an unbelievably positive experience with an exhibitor, or one of the things we're known for is having a fair number of well-known spokespeople in booths. I know that we don't, and on staff generally get on the booth show floor that much because we're kind of doing other things. But you do these quick runs out there just to learn new products, to say hi to old friends and things like that. And it's like, oh, there's Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Fame pitcher. You walk down the hall, there's somebody else. And I'm sure you've had those experiences, but you know who's showing up.
Correct. I think some of my favorite celebrities would be probably Carmen Electra, and because she's a very nice woman, and we had a great time with her at the booth. But also, Snoop Dogg was there back in 2013 in Atlanta. So I'm looking forward to getting back to Atlanta this year, and actually, hopefully he's there this year, because having a celebrity like that at the booth, there's already thousands of people on the floor, but that draws even more to that one section. So hopefully Monster or one of our other exhibitors will bring him back, and we'll get to see more celebrities like that.
You must have saw the really cool ones, because I got a picture with Elsie the cow once. I miss Snoop Dogg.
I'm sorry, I don't even know who Snoop Dogg is. So, you know.
You want to do an impersonation or sing a song quick?
I won't because other people are listening, but he was there in 2011. We had 50 Cent. And actually, I think you mentioned Elsie the cow was back in 2010. So that was also Atlanta. So Atlanta has a lot of good celebrities, from the animal variety all the way up to celebrity that are people. So
clearly, Carolyn, you're looking forward to Elsie the cow or an equivalent coming back. When you get ready to go to the show, what is it you're most excited to go see? What are the things that are on your to-do list other than your job? But when you have your short breaks to go experience what's going on, what do you like to do when you're there?
I do really enjoy the general sessions. We've had some amazing speakers. Albeit short meetings, I've been able to meet at least 3 presidents, one presidential hopeful. Hillary Clinton was there a few years ago. And they're just so inspirational. Our NACS leadership also speaks. They, our chairman, our incoming chairman, our CEO, and they're just really inspirational. They tell you what you're going to expect for the rest of the year. They really set up the show. Other than that, I mean, my biggest piece of advice too is comfortable shoes. Very comfortable shoes. One time, when I was working back in the educational department, I had put on a pedometer and just saw what I did for 4 hours. I walked 9 miles in 4 hours. So
isn't that what you usually run in the morning, though?
Yeah, I should. I mean, I was right there. I ran right to the floor and got some crispy, crunchy chicken and felt okay about that one.
So calories in, calories out. That's what the NACS Show is all about.
Hence the Uber detours on the show floor.
Yes.
And what Carolyn was saying about the general sessions, it is very cool because when you're involved in planning and making sure they happen, we have 4 days of these general sessions, and the room is set. It's a big room, big screens, so no matter where you are, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to hear. But it's a big room, and you're there an hour beforehand, and everything's set to go. You're about to open the doors, and it's the same thing I think any retailer faces. Are they going to show up? And then 10 minutes go by, there's people coming in, and then more come in, and it's like, okay, I think it's going to happen again. And then they keep on coming in.
So
and
how many people is the general session set for?
At its peak, it's set for, I think, 3,500 people. And depending upon fire codes and all that other stuff, we either have to limit it or we have to see about extra seating or how do you work. But it's really incredible to see that many people come together, and then that session lets out. And those people hit the NACS Show floor. They hit the networking events, and it's a cool experience to see all these people fired up from education sessions, from general sessions, from expo, from networking, and then they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again, and then it's day 4. Then they sleep on the plane, and they have an awful lot of ideas, and hopefully in some cases some pretty good product that they can consider putting in their stores.
You know what's cool about the NACS Show for me is that for other shows I've worked on, there's always a last day of the show, which some exhibitors cringe because, well, we're going to be an empty floor. But NACS does a great job of having a fantastic closing speaker that gives you a reason to be there that last day, and also incentivize you to walk the floor, make sure you didn't miss anything. And this year we'll have a really cool closing speaker, 5-time NFL MVP, the only 5-time NFL MVP will be speaking for us, and that's Peyton Manning, which is one of the things I definitely am looking forward to.
And if you've seen any of his commercials, I think they're only online. NACS Show, you are so good. That's the only singing you'll get from me. And it wasn't even right number of syllables.
That's
but
okay.
Where was I going?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So he has these commercials. I think they're only online, but you can Google them. He actually plays a convenience store manager, and it's for one of these beverage companies. And basically, the idea is the person coming in to buy this beverage hasn't worked hard enough for it, and they have to do sit-ups, push-ups, something like that. So they're pretty hysterical. He obviously knows the industry, if for no other reason, well, besides the fact, like any other consumer, he's there every other day. But also, he's filmed and he's been a store manager, at least in character.
So we got Peyton this year. In the past, Carolyn, you mentioned about a couple past presidents. What other big speakers come to everybody's mind in the shows you've been to? Who of the big speakers we've had who's really stood out in your mind?
Well, I think the way we're set up now is the beginning of the show is about inspiration. Everything is possible. And those first 2 days of speakers, you don't know their names, but they are incredible. And you just get standing ovations, and people don't want to leave. They're inspired. It's not the messenger, it's the message.
That's a good point. Donovan mentioned you want to have a strong speaker in the last day to keep people there. Everybody focus on that closing speaker. But setting the tone with the opening speakers, and if you have the opportunity to get into town early enough to go to those sessions, it's absolutely totally worth your time.
Yeah. Think about that also. I'd say when you come to the show, you're thinking of ideas. What can I take away with me? And I think that's one of the highlights of the show as well, is now you have a whole session on the ideas to go. And there's videos from across the country of different ideas that from different price ranges or wherever your store may be able to do, you can actually implement instantly in your own store.
Yeah, and the idea is to find something that is big in scale that maybe you can do in maybe a budget cycle or two when you're ready to. And then what can you take home? Just like anything else at the NACS Show, it ends on Friday. When I have my store meeting on Monday, or manager's meeting, or whatever type of meeting you have, here's things we could possibly do right now. And you want to have a combination wherever it is, whether it's the general sessions, the education sessions, or even thinking about the NACS Show floor. Combination of long-term and immediate. And I've heard some members almost say that, not almost, they did say, the timing is perfect because right after this, they go right into their strategic planning sessions right before Thanksgiving. That sets them up for the new year. And this basically jumpstarts their strategic plan for 2017. So this is the show that really drives everything.
I think the other thing, what was I going to say, Jeff? You got me all distracted on. Oh, yes, big ideas. I've talked to some owners who say that they send their staff to the NACS Show. Their requirement is each person has to come back with 3 ideas for their company. So if you think about that, I go to a lot of events, 40 different events this year. You go to events and you go through the motions, you do the process. This event is so big and so massive. If you don't go in with a plan, as Carolyn said, plan your time, but also what is it you want to learn? What's your goal? What's your objective? When you get on that plane and go home, what should you be thinking about? Figure that out before you go in. So I need to come up with 3 ideas to benefit my food service. I need to come up with a couple ideas to benefit my fuel operations. I need to come up with some human resources ideas. What things do you need to learn, and then seek those out? That'll help you navigate the show floor, navigate the educational sessions. If you go in there with a specific objective, I need to learn and get better at X, then you can figure out where you want to go better. And
it helps focus you. I mean, you want to look at vendors that sell X kind of food service product. I mean, how big is that area? That's a huge, huge, immense. It actually makes up 2 areas and 2 halls almost. I mean, then you know where you're going, and there's some cool things along the way. But of the education sessions, I think maybe there'd be 5 or 6, and some of them might conflict. You need to sit down and really figure out what exactly do you want to take home. And if you have a colleague there, split up. I don't recommend sitting next to that person the entire time.
And the other thing is when you go into an educational session, say you're going in to talk about new fuels or new food items, when you're doing that session, look at the exhibitor guide. What exhibitors on the show floor might actually be relevant to the session you just attended that could amplify your learning opportunities, and go talk to those vendors and really figure out how to improve your business from your own perspective.
Yeah, and tying into what Carolyn said, it's really, if you're coming with more than one person, have a plan together. And I've heard from some retailers that say that either they carve up different sections of the show floor depending upon if they have an area of expertise or an area of interest, but then at the end of the day, get together. talk about what you learned, whether it's in the sessions or whether it's on the expo floor. And I've often heard that last night, that last full night, is the best night to get together and say, okay, these are the ones we want to hit on the expo floor tomorrow. And unlike a lot of other shows where that Friday, that last day exists just because it exists, for a lot of retailers, that's their second look day. That's their day. They've made the initial entree. They've met with their team. And I don't want to call it as much as a buying day, but it's pretty close to that, where it's like, okay, we came by, we're interested now. So pay attention to that last day if you're an exhibitor. And if you're a retailer, that's a great tip that we've heard over the years, is get together with your team. You have one more day there. See how you can make it work for you. Have those conversations that can really drive your business, and get those conversations where they make you money.
And I think another trick, I was just thinking of, you're saying that, and Carolyn and you and I have worked so often on educational programs. We always judge an educational program from a speaker's perspective as how many people in the audience ask the speaker questions. Were they engaged? How many come up and talk to the speaker afterwards? As an attendee, though, I was at a conference with a colleague a couple years ago, and when the session was over, he turned to me and said, "So, John, what did you learn in that session?" And I'm vegging out. I'm sucking down a Diet Coke, getting ready to go to the bathroom. I don't know. So he turned to somebody else. The stranger goes, "What did you learn in that session?" I thought, that is a great question to ask yourself and ask your colleagues. You just listened to 45 minutes, 50 minutes, somebody, an expert, talking to you about something. You're there for a reason. Critically ask yourself, what did I just learn?
And if it's, I saw somebody had a really good lunch on Facebook and their kids just did something really amazing, then it wasn't a good session.
Then rethink your schedule.
So one of the things that we didn't talk about, or we talked a little bit about how much fun it can be, the evening events.
Right.
This year, I know we have one the first night, our kickoff reception, which is at Restaurant Row down in Atlanta. Is it 5, 6 restaurants? And then closing the street, you can just hang out, have a free appetizer, a free beverage, and just network with all those colleagues. And, of course, talk about what you learned that day.
Yeah. I mean, the networking is, we spend a lot of time at NACS planning the programming, planning the show floor. But through the Fuels Institute, what Donna and I have learned is we have speakers, but we're learning more from our attendees and the people sitting next to us. If you've got a question about this industry, chances are somebody within 10 feet of you has the answer. And getting to know those people and expanding your own network, one, makes the show so much more fun and enjoyable because you got people to hang out with, but also you have a network now you can rely on the whole year to answer your questions and really improve your business.
Yeah, and it is a fun event. And just that first day on Restaurant Row, it is right there. It's not like we have to get on a shuttle bus and fight traffic. It's right there. It is really easy to go to. There's the College Football Hall of Fame, which I guess Peyton Manning is up for election possibly for next year.
Wonder if he'll
I don't know why he's not in already. But Politics. Yes. So it really is an amazing experience, and I can't, as Carolyn said, can't emphasize the fun enough. It's really, our boss, our CEO Henry Armour says it's the greatest show on earth. It really is. Don't sue us, circus people. When people say they're going to NACS, they say the NACS Show. And our job is to make sure it was the best show you've ever been to until next year's show.
So Carolyn, Donna, thanks for joining us. And thank you guys for listening to Convenience Matters. And we will see you at the NACS Show this year, next year, and the years in the future.
And we'll be filming some of these episodes there. So stop by the NACS HQ area.
We record podcasts. We don't film them, Jeff.
We do that also. Thank you to our guests. I guess you too, John. And thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
You've been listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. For more information about the National Association of Convenience Stores, go to nacsonline.com.